Welcome to r/Entitled People, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories. The first story, entitled Neighbor, Animal Control, and 2 Cute Dogs. The second story, this woman demanded that she be given a place that other people had booked an hour and a half ago. The third story, how to calm down an aggressive lady with a key in a stopped train. The first story is, entitled Neighbor steals dogs then returns them after destroying his house. I read a few stories on here and it reminded me of an incident that occurred years ago dealing with 2 dogs my older sister acquired from a friend. The roster in this story, MS, my sister, she's much older than me, kind of a pain in the butt. Me, as myself, younger sister, and the living hemorrhoid created to annoy my older sister. AC, Animal Control Officer. The lady was a power-tripping jerk. EN, entitled Neighbor. Trollface, entitled Neighbor's wife. She looked like an angry troll. My dad, as himself. Think Christopher Walken old-school Queens, New York accent. At the time, I was working 2 jobs, and I was staying with my sister. It's my sister's place so she can do as she pleases when it comes to having animals. She had taken in a female Cocker Spaniel named Mercy, and her puppy that was 5 months old. She got the dogs from her friend with the agreement if the dogs did not work out, she would take them back. Mercy and her puppy were purebred and a product of incestuous breeding. I've never agreed with anyone who breeds animals that seems to think it's a good idea to enforce incestuous breeding. The result is a purebred animal with medical and mental problems. It was obvious that Mercy and her puppy were the product of several generations of inbreeding due to the behavior displayed. MS had just acquired the dogs and immediately the dogs were using the inside of the house as a toilet. What was weird, all meals were timed, and they were fed twice a day at specific times with specific amounts for individual weight and age. You could take them out and walk them for 2 hours, and I kid you not, the second they were brought inside, they would pee and crap. MS finally decided to put the dogs on the enclosed porch to better control bathroom training. The porch was huge, and she had a large doghouse for them to stay in for shelter. It was nice because if they did have an accident, it was easy to clean. This was in the middle of spring, and she would have them out there during the day. It didn't get cold where we live, and she was hoping to break them out of the habit of peeing and SHing all over the house. When MS got off work, the dogs were brought inside and monitored. Our dad would come by and help too, since he had nothing better to do. Haha. Plus, MS would hook him up with his favorite coffee and cake. The routine was the dogs would eat in the morning, and taken for a good 30-minute walk, then put on the porch for 5 hours. My sister would come home for lunch and repeat the process, hoping to break the bad habit. Food and water were restricted, to get them to toilet outside. Ian across the street would stare and shake his head like this was the most horrible thing he ever saw. A week later, I was on my way to work when I see an animal control vehicle blocking me in. I see the door open, and this short, overweight woman with Coke bottle glasses approaches the porch. I come out. Me, can I help you? AC, yes, I just received a complaint about animal abuse going on here. Me, excuse me? I don't know what you're talking about. AC, really? Then why are those 2 dogs being left on your porch? AC lady decides to go inside the porch without permission and sees Mercy and her puppy chilling out in the doghouse chewing on toys. They were not chained and free to move around the enclosed porch. AC, look at this. This is cruel. Dogs that are kept outside require access to food and water at all times. Me, really? These animals have been fed and watered. Second, both dogs are not chained. Third, I believe you're referring to livestock. And last, if that's the law, then I need you to show me where we're required to do so. AC, I could take these animals right now. Me, really? These animals are in the middle of potty training, which is why they're kept on this porch during the day for a few hours, and then brought in at night. Second, you're trespassing. You need to leave now. Before she could say anything, my dad pulls up, and he lived down the street from MS. My dad gets out and rips the AC a new one. The best part, imagine Christopher Walken with a huge biker beard peeved off. Yes, that's who my dad sounds like, and chased AC back into her vehicle with his words. Haha. My dad, I've had it with you. Get the F out of here now. I'm gonna be talking to your boss. You've got a lot of nerve. I finally got to work late, and my dad took care of informing my sister of what happened. AC's officer's supervisor knew my dad and apologized for the incident that happened. He complained, and yes, what we were doing is 100% legal and allowed. There was no harm done to the dogs in any way, and MS was trying to get them trained. Animal control would not be bothering us in the future. The dogs were left, and apparently Ian was horrified that animal control did not do anything. It was kind of obvious with the nasty scowling stares from him and his wife. 2 days passed and MS came home to find that the dogs were gone. Someone took them and she was extremely upset. She was sure that Ian had taken them but could not prove it. About 5 days go by and magically the dogs are sitting there on the porch like they had never left. We see Ian and Trollface arguing with a carpet cleaning company about the dog SH inside the house. It sounded like the two did not bother to clean up the crap and expected the cleaner to do it, who refused. I remember the cleaner told them they needed to remove the feces and he would be more than happy to clean the carpets. Haha. My dad and I could not stop laughing because we found out that the dogs destroyed the carpet in Ian's house. The two idiots must have given them access to food and water 24/7, and what goes in must come out. The dogs did not seem to have an off switch when it came to water and food. You had to limit them, or they would puke, pee, and crap all over the place. They had all the shots, no parasites, and we think they were not right, due to the historic inbreeding. MS eventually gave up and returned the dogs to her friend. It seemed that no matter what we did to try and train them to go outside, nothing worked. Oh, and MS had a professional carpet shampoo machine, so the carpets were kept very clean. The last straw was Mercy refusing to walk on a leash, and she bit my sister, drawing blood. We think the EN must have done something, but the dogs were not right in the head. Mercy also became aggressive with her puppy, and we had to separate them. The friend ended up taking them back, and they were kept on a farm, which worked out better for the dogs. Here's where it gets good. Ian and Trollface show up on MS's door, demanding MS pays for damages done to her carpet. First, they call animal control about the dogs, then decide to steal the dogs, and now want MS to pay for the damage done. Nope, not happening, and my dad tells them to peeve off. Haha. Trollface, you're gonna pay for this. Look at what your dogs did. She shows us pictures of a literal SH show. It was nasty. My dad, what the F is wrong with you? You two are thieves. You better get, now. He takes the garden hose and sprays the two of them off the property, while yelling at them. Yeah, you like that, thief? They ran back to the house and stayed away. Haha. For the next year, Ian and his troll-faced wife shot dirty looks to us, but for the most part left us alone, after that, until the kids put in a basketball hoop. This is another story for another day. The second story is, entitled Lady Tries to Justify Taking Out Breakfast Reservation. So, not sure if any of you have been to Cape Cod, but in the summertime, restaurants are usually packed on weekends. This story takes place back in 2011. We had 10 people down at my in-laws. We wanted to head to one of the more popular breakfast places, so I say I'll go, and put our name in and wait and call when ready. The house was 5 minutes away. So I drive down and put the name in. 1.5-hour wait. I say fine, call my wife and tell them to head in an hour. I'll hang out and read and have a coffee in case we're called early. The crowd was insane, but they were moving pretty quick. My family comes an hour later, and when I checked in, they said we would be seated in like 15 minutes. So I go out and tell my family and chat with them for a few minutes. I guess they were running a little ahead of schedule, and one of the waitresses called out my party, and some lady said it was hers. I had just walked in when I saw this happen. I called to the hostess and said that was my reservation. She recalled my being there and checking in, and being that I used my last name to book it, it was clear it was mine. The lady came up and actually said that since I didn't wait inside or respond right away, I gave up the spot and it was hers. I turned to the hostess stand, where there was a sign about waiting outside to be called, and said nope. She kept arguing that's not how it works in the real world, and those are her family's seats. She told her family to go sit there. Thankfully, the hostess told her to stop. She actually remembered the lady because she just put her reservation in 10 minutes ago. She started to argue with the hostess about how the waitress gave them the seats, and now they were theirs. She also stated that her family was hungry and made the drive that morning to the Cape and needed to eat. At this point, my wife came up and asked what the problem was. The lady told my wife to mind her own business. This kind of peeved her off, and when I gave her the skinny, she was flaming irate. While this whole affair is going on, no one is being seated, so other people are getting peeved off. The lady, myself, and the hostess are still talking how this reservation is mine and not hers. She's now saying she wants to speak to the manager. She's doubling down on getting the table. Unbeknownst to us, my wife goes outside and says, loud enough for all to hear, that some family that just got there is trying to jump ahead of everyone else to her family. Mind you, everyone else outside has been waiting for an hour or more, sweating their A's off. I know that she elaborated a bit to get some people annoyed, and it worked. There were about 5 or 6 different people that went in and saw what was going on, and started calling the lady and her family every name in the book. Myself, I was surprisingly calm through the whole thing. The place was very busy, as I mentioned, and was on a very busy street, so the cops were usually around for traffic help. The manager had come over and was already getting sick of the SH going on, and the lady's attitude, and she called one of the cops in. She asked the cops to trespass her, and the family, because they were causing a scene. The cop told them they had to leave, The lady started to argue, and cop warned her that she would be arrested soon for disturbing the peace. At that point, the lady realized she overplayed her hand, and she asked the hostess if they could wait outside for the seats they had put in for originally. This was because she was going to have an even longer wait at this point if they went to a new place. The manager said nope and wished them the best at their next breakfast location. We eventually were seated and had a great breakfast. The manager came over and apologized, and we said it was not his fault. And the last story is, you can't do anything. You're just a passenger like me. It was my day off, and I went to my local station to travel to see a friend. Fully masked, obviously. I was waiting by the rear end of where the train would arrive, as it had covered seating out of the way. I heard a group of people yelling and screaming, and I tried to ignore it. They continued to get louder, but one girl in particular was obviously the ringleader. After a few minutes, the train arrived and we all got on. I was in the very last seat at the back of the train. The ringleader started getting aggressive to a fellow passenger for no reason, and my ears pricked up. I stood up and told her to calm down, that she's being an idiot, and to just let others be. That was obviously the wrong thing to do. She came close to me and started yelling at me. "What are you gonna do, big man? Huh? You gonna cry to mommy? You gonna go find the police, huh?" She obviously thought she was untouchable. I said, "Look at that screen. What does it say?" Scrolling LED screen that repeats in writing what has been said over the loudspeaker. She looked at it and said, "So what? What are you gonna do?" I replied to her, "Nothing. Just wanted you to look directly at the CCTV camera so there's a clear shot of you." She got angry. "Oh, you think you're a big man, huh? You think you're gonna get the police involved?" I pretended to think about it, then said, "You know what? That's exactly what I'm gonna do." I then used the key I have on my house keychain that accesses pretty much all UK railway property and entered the rear cab, where I quickly closed the door, used the cab-to-cab communication to speak to the driver to let them know what was going on and to ask for BTP, British Transport Police assistance. I then came out, told her that BTP were on their way and the train won't be moving until they arrive. She didn't believe me at first, but then after the train wasn't leaving the next station, I could see she was getting a bit frustrated. When they did arrive eventually, I gave them my work ID and side of the story, and they were all taken off. Note, it was my day off. I wasn't wearing the uniform. I'm of a higher grade, so pretty much all other drivers at my depot know me and know I live at that station. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button.